Hello, ladies and gents, boys and girls, people of all ages, sexualities, and identities, and welcome back to another Doctor Who review. And today's Doctor Who review is none other than the Skull of Sobek. So, what is the Skull of Sobek about? Well, essentially, the Doctor and Lucy both land on a planet that she describes as blue sky. Very blue. I'm blue, I need I'ma die. Yes, it's a very blue planet. I think we get the point. But essentially, the Doctor points out to her that it's a beautiful planet, a very tranquil planet, and a planet of perfection, of peace, of harmony. To be fair, let's be honest, it's the planet of the hippies. But all jokes aside, the Doctor and Lucy decide to head for a monastery. And they find at this monastery that essentially all the monks and the sisters, who usually would allow people into the monastery, for some reason are very, a little bit like they just don't want to let anyone in. And this really confuses the Doctor and Lucy because they don't quite get it. However, the Doctor and Lucy eventually manage to find their way into the monastery and sneak around to have a little bit of investigating. Upon investigating, they find out that people in the monastery are having visions and crocodiles are jumping out of the water to eat people. Yes, crocodiles. It turns out that Sobek was a crocodile god from the time before, but in Doctor Who lore, essentially, they just say that he's from another planet. It turns out that after Sobek's death at the hands of either his father or someone else during a great duel, Sobek has been lying dormant for many millennia until the Doctor would turn back up. It also turns out that Sobek has chosen the Doctor as his champion, seeing as they previously had a battle at some point in the Doctor's timeline. Lucy and the Doctor have a very down-to-earth moment in this story, in which they both kind of get locked in a cell, and Lucy begins to question whether she's become so numb to the idea of people dying. The Doctor and her have a very subtle, sober moment until all of a sudden he realises that she's nicked a cell phone off of the dead. Well, I say nicked. More politely, she borrowed. However, this gives Lucy and the Doctor some more hints to exactly what's been going on in the monastery, and it turns out that a secret agent outside who has something else to do with Sobek has essentially had his partner go into the monastery but was eaten by the giant crocodile. Lucy's discovered the phone and they soon realise that whatever was in the water has eaten and devoured this agent. The Doctor is then chucked out of a window, literally, and to save Lucy's own arse, she confesses that she wants to be part of the sisterhood. However, when she learns that to be a sister she has to become bald, Lucy becomes very reluctant and decides to run off. Eventually, she comes into contact with Sobek, who begins to hypnotise her in hopes of using her against the Doctor. After the Doctor discovers this, he ends up in a bit of a rut and very angry indeed at Sobek. Not to mention, he soon discovers that Sobek is not the only arbitrator for this monastery. It turns out that the secret agents who have been walking around trying to get their hands on Sobek's skull have been waiting for a duel, and they have chosen Lucy or the Doctor to essentially be kind of the champion. It turns out that Sobek has been using Lucy as his champion, and the Doctor must in turn fight her. The Doctor refuses to fight Lucy and manages to break Sobek's control. Soon after breaking Sobek's control, the Doctor and Lucy watch as the monastery begins to rebuild itself. With Sobek gone, they can finally allow refugees back in. Lucy is in a bit of a rut though, as it seems that the sister of the Monestry doesn't want to let Lucy go. The only way to get around this is they say that the Doctor is psychologically crazy and Lucy is going to religiously heal him. Lucy jokes at the end of this story that she is going to use this as a brag, and I can't lie, I can see it happening. So, the Skull of Sobek. What did I think of this story? I love the idea of using like Egyptian and Greek and sort of like mythologies and going back in time and really looking at ancient gods and bringing them into the Doctor Who universe. However, I do feel like minus the great aesthetic, pleasing kind of blue jokes in this story and the atmosphere of the abbot and the monastery, this is a very chaotic episode. And I feel like for that reason, I've got to mark it down to about a 7 out of 10. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next Doctor Who review. Until then, goodbye, stay beautiful, and have an incredible night.